Hey folks, welcome to Site Lap. This is going to be sort of our season preview show. I'm David Pingree, your host, joined by Bruce Murata and Jett Lawrence, who is going by Queef Latifah today. So
Got that one from Josh Hill.
welcome to this show. I want to thank our sponsors real quick. The boys at Factory Connection have been coming in clutch for us all year long. Incredible stuff. Hands down the best suspension in the game. Off-road, moto, supercross, whatever it is. Stoked to have those guys, one of our partners. UR Water. This is kind of our newest partner that just joined on. And dude, I got one of these things with me at all times. Love this stuff. Check them out. Speed Strap. If you guys need tie downs. Boy, Bruce has got a bottle too. If you need tie downs, check out Speed Strap. Great stuff. Baja Designs. They're a big part of our dual sport stuff. Oh, and Bruce is repping them too. Thank you to Baja Designs. Maxxis Tires. If you guys need mountain bike, truck tires, whatever, doesn't matter. Go get them from Maxxis.
Sports
all
car
right.
tires.
Hey, whatever you got. All right, let's take a look at, you guys want to start in the 250 class?
Let's do 250. First off, Ping, did something happen to your face?
Yeah, I'm headed back to the fire station here before long, so it's time to clean up a little bit. Yeah. Lost a little weight.
Driver's license.
Yeah, let's do 250, Ping.
Okay.
Jason.
All right.
So you put out your list, Jason, and it's pretty damn good. I was trying to shoot some holes in it, and I really have just like one or two guys that I think are maybe off on here, but this is what you have. Let's read through your list. You've got RJ Hampshire, if this is sort of a power ranking going into it, right? RJ Hampshire, and he won, followed by Haiden Deegan and Tom Vialle. Then Levi Kitchen, Joey Savacci in fifth, McAdoo, DeFrancisco, Beaumare, Swole, and Voland in 10th. From there, you've got Seth Hamaker, Hymas, Evan Ferry, Mosman, and Pierce Brown. That's kind of your top 15. Now, there's even some good guys that are not on this list. We know for sure Austin Faulkner is not racing. There was some chatter that he might, but it is not happening. I spoke to Mitch today. He's still got to get through some processes before he can get back onto the track. So, I think your top 3 or 4 are right. I think it's Kitchen, Vialle, Deegan, Hampshire. They're going to for sure be regulars on the podium every weekend. I'm not so sure about Joey Savacci. This is the first kind of point of contention I want to throw in.
All right.
And no disrespect to Joey Savacci. You're talking about a guy who damn near won a Supercross title. He's fast on a 250, a 450, but he hasn't raced in a long time, outdoors especially. Hasn't been in this 250 class for a hot minute. And I see this a lot where guys think, oh, I'm dropping to the 250 class. I'm going to teach these kids what's up. And it doesn't go that well. Like, these kids, I think you forget the intensity that they ride with, and it's just brain off and throttle locked for most of them. And even RJ, who's almost 30, he still rides like that, so he fits right in. And I mean, I'm being facetious, but like, there's a lot of intensity in that class, and I think for a guy who's kind of made that transition to the big bike and he's more mature, it tends to kind of rattle them, and they're kind of like, whoa, all these kids are, everyone's just going every which way, right? I'm not sure we're going to see Joey Savacci 5th overall in points at the end of the year. What do you guys think? Let's start with that. Let's start with this top 5.
All right. Well, Joey Savacci, you'll notice that I moved him. Originally, I put him 15th on my list when I was making it because I didn't put, like, I'm thinking exactly what you were thinking, but I had to put him on the list somewhere because that would have been disrespectful, I thought. Well, the fans clapped back and they were like, no, Savacci should be way better. I looked deeper into the results and I'm thinking like, okay, yeah, Joey, I'm overlooking the fact that he was good on the 450 recently. Like, we think, okay, he hasn't raced 250 in however long, so he's had this big of a layoff, but not really. Like, I look at the things, he's won 7 250 outdoor overalls. That's got to be more than anybody else that's lining up, right? He knows what he signed up for, and he's staying at this Triumph facility, Moto X compound, which it's only a 250 team. Swole's pretty fucking fast. He has a gauge. So he's had a ton of time. I mean, I saw him already riding the bike a day in the dirt back in March. I don't really know how good he was riding. But I mean, this guy's had a ton of time. He knows what he signed up for. It's not really like he just picked up a Mitch ride and now he's going to try to moonlight for it. He knows what he's doing. And I mean, I don't know. I see Joey. I don't think the bike will be a hindrance either, because if you remember when he came into the pros, he was good on like a stock KTM.
Yeah.
But the only thing I think is that you were riding Mitch's bike when you had your success. And it's always kind of a wonder of how much that really helped, because it's definitely the best bike in the class.
Yeah, I don't think the bike's going to be a problem. They've got that thing running well. I mean, how many hole shots did Swole pull this year? Like, that is not an accident. And you kind of changed my way of thinking. All right. So like, you're right. He's probably been riding outdoors. I mean, it's always been riding. He knew he wasn't going to do Supercross. So he's probably way ahead of where all these guys are in terms of fitness and prep. So, okay.
Well, and Ping, it could go the opposite way too. Like where these guys are so in that rhythm of just racing, where he's like, it's been held up so much inside him where he just can't wait to get out there, So it might even do the opposite effect where he might go out and kick ass, to where, because he's been wanting to race for so long, he's just been waiting and waiting. He just can't wait to get out there. So, I mean, he might be a surprise.
I think that he's in the same boat as maybe like McAdoo is, where like McAdoo, if he doesn't perform at all outdoors this year, I think he kind of goes into next year's Supercross kind of starting to look like a old dog type thing. Like it's important for guys like that to not get ran over with the intensity outdoors, or almost, not that it's beneficial too, but it's almost better for like McAdoo, how he'd been hurt on the outdoors the last season. If maybe he isn't going to put up results in the outdoors, because then these kids don't get an edge up on him. Haiden Deegan doesn't beat him down and tell him about it each time the whole season. And then he's still, like a title threat in everyone's mind going into the season. I think Joey's the same way. He's a question mark right now. And it could go either way, but I put him fifth because this is an overall type thing. And I see everybody else is going to be up and down. These young dudes, he's going to be consistent, and he's proven that he can be a race winner, go for the championship. And I mean, you're not going to doubt he's going to be in shape,
Hey, hey guys, did I miss something here? And excuse me if I did, but yeah, where's Shimoda at?
Oh, dude, he's at Fox Raceway riding with Josh Hansen and Trey Kennard in the Bone Dry. Did you see that, man? They're doing
I know, but
Trey just put up.
But Jason, you don't have him anywhere on your list?
Ooh, bud.
All right, let's add him in. Where does he go?
Hey, we'll put him in there.
Like, what do you? Come on, Jason.
Hey, he's a hot guy. He's a hot guy, and you know what? He's gonna have to put Joe out of the top 5 for sure. So when you were saying that you liked my top 4, yeah, that's where we could have noticed this big blunder. I'm gonna have to put him 5th, but I would actually argue with him even in front of Levi. But when you said my top 4, I was thinking, wait, it's got to be more than my top 4 are definitely the players. But my top 5, if you put Joe in there, do we all agree that that's the 5 guys that are probably all going to win a race in there? Yeah.
I would agree with that. I think that so I've got contention with a couple of guys. We'll get to them. What about let's break this top 5 down a little bit more, because I do think Shimoda's probably going to be closer to the front end of that. If you look at just his past 2 or 3 seasons, he's always better outdoors. Yeah. He really came on at the end of Supercross. So if they've got a good setting and he's feeling comfortable, he's a guy that could go win at Paula. Like, I think he's a podium guy every weekend to me.
I got a nice stat on him, and it's that he's finished everybody that he's finished behind in the championship. I think the past 3 years, they vacated the class, Hunter and Jett. And then it was even like Justin Cooper finished second one year in the points. He vacated the class. Like, nobody has finished ahead of him in points that's lining up on the gate.
Wow. Interesting.
And I'm sure he knows that, right? But you're dealing with a Tom Vialle who's in a way different position than he was last year, trying to learn the tracks. Now he knows them. Now he's got confidence from Supercross. I mean, he's got to be a player to win races.
Well,
Haiden is from the start, and I think RJ is from the start. So, and I think Levi is from the start. So I think you're going to have really, well, now we're talking about 6 guys for sure, really arguing over 3 podium spots. And I think there's other guys that we're forgetting, which we'll get to. What you got?
Yeah. So, well, Ping, I want to touch back on how you said about Vialle bringing that confidence to outdoors. So I got a question for Jason on this. So Jason, after you coming off a Supercross championship, you came into outdoors. Glen Helen, you won the first moto. Can you kind of share that experience, like with an RJ Vialle? Like, how much confidence does that truly bring into him until outdoors? Can you explain that?
I think it's just kind of like you believe that you belong, and I think the proof in that is that that's the only whole shot I've ever got in an outdoor race, and it was like I really believed that I was probably the best guy, and whether I was or not, I think that has a lot to do with it. That's why, like you'd say to it, like when someone gets their first win, oh, look, maybe they'll be on a roll, slow that momentum. Well, you give somebody a championship, and it's really hard to deter that confidence from those guys. So we got a lot of guys in here that are capable of running in the top 5, but if they don't start out and have those hammering performances right off the bat, like some of these guys might be, like we're depending on how they start, if they're going to carry that momentum, that won't really matter as much for the championship guys because their like confidence is so much bigger and harder to knock down in the sense that it'll take a little while longer. So, they'll be there for the long run. And as far as saying, oh, we didn't have time to test on outdoors, that's not even true. Or even the guy who tries to say, oh, well, we got a jump start on outdoor testing. It doesn't really seem to matter because I didn't do that in my case, and it seems like being focused on a championship, if you're going to try to say, oh, yeah, you're at a disadvantage because you just came off a title fight, I don't think so. I think you were just so focused in right there. You're ready for it to go again.
And the after parties they can't use for an excuse either, right?
Yeah, I don't think they even had one.
I think they had cupcakes and wore some hats, and then that was it.
I'm pretty sure there was a parade in Dade City.
Oh yeah, well,
Yeah.
might have been. All right, so let's look past that now. So you've got Cameron McAdoo. Let's go 6 through 10 here. Cameron McAdoo, Ryder D, Beaumare, Jalik Swoll, and Voland. I think this is where, to me, it gets a little sketchy. I don't think Ryder D and Beaumare run this high overall at the end of the year. I think they're more like 10, 11. I think Seth Hamaker belongs up in that mix. I think that potentially Michael Mosiman, potentially Pierce Brown, probably be in front of those guys. What's your guys' thoughts? Why did you put them there?
I think that Ryder D, and I might be wrong about this, but didn't he finish every moto last year that he raced? Didn't he have some stat like that? Like he did something where when he rode for PC, it was that he finished every race or something. Like I know he came in at Redbud and did his first race. Maybe he DNF'd or something like that. But he put up pretty solid results. And he has a ton of talent. It's only a matter of time. With Julian Beaumare, I think that's his speed is 8th, and I'm not going to knock him in a championship sense until I see it because he was pretty steady all the way till the end of Supercross, and I expect him to be pretty steady in the outdoor too, and he is the Supercross Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I think this is my opinion, I think he's a little bit more of a Supercross guy than he is an outdoor guy, and maybe he'll prove me wrong, but I think you'll see him closer to 10, 11, 12. And I think you'll see Seth running up front a bit, top 5 pretty regularly. Now, can Seth keep it on 2 wheels and stay healthy? That's a great question. Where's Max Voland?
Ryder D probably finished more races in one season than Seth has ever finished. And I love Seth, but he really, dude, to talk about a championship, this is one that I could see, like I argued with almost leaving it off and putting Cody Schock type thing. But I could also put Seth Hamaker as far as like I don't know. Seth Hamaker can win. He can win a moto, here and there, but hard to say.
What is it about? I mean, you got any thoughts on that? Like I always go back and go, okay, well maybe it's something in his technique, right? But then you look at a Ben Townley whose technique was perfect, and he still got hurt all the time. And it's like, man, why these guys that crash or just have injury after injury? Like, what is it? You got any thoughts there?
I could only assume that it's just not healing like an initial injury. I bet you a lot of those guys would say like, oh, if I just took more time off to heal it up or something like that. The only thing I have to relate to it is I had like a small like foot injury. Like if you would roll your ankle and then your foot would swell up, like I would get that and it would never go away all the way. I'd ride right away as soon as I could, and then like it would flare back up. But then I learned that when I stopped riding for good, in about a couple months, like it was totally gone and healed up. But you can never take that time when you're trying to race and you have the pressure from the team. So I think kids like him, that they're always trying to prove something, that they have to get back too soon. I mean, I think it's great that Mitch does a good job of holding on to those dudes and letting them have their fair share. But at the same time, no matter what Mitch is telling you, unless you have a contract for a couple of years, you're feeling pressure to get back out there and perform. And I think everyone does it too soon.
Yeah, he did just sign a 2-year extension with Mitch, so he doesn't necessarily have pressure to go race. But you know as well as I do, especially when you're younger like that, as soon as you can like actually ride, you're like, oh, I'm good. I'll race my way into it, you know.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
We're a bunch
Cutting
of
your
idiots.
cutting your own cast off. Like
Yeah.
I used to always do that.
Just
Well-
the thumb, just so I can get it on the grip. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah.
How about like Pierce Brown? I saw Pierce. Didn't he win the stopwatch race, or did Tickle end up winning it?
No, Tickle won it.
I think Pierce won a moto though.
Yeah, he won the first
The
moto.
first one.
First moto, I think it was Pierce, Ryder D, and then Tickle, and then the second moto was like basically flopped. So
Well, Michael Moseman 14th, and I mean he won a moto at Hangtown. He has 3 outdoor podiums on a 250. I mean, like we're looking at these guys that I put 11 through 15, and there's not much stats for them. You know, like Chant Timus, Evan Ferry. These guys are all like fresh. You know, and then
I mean,
some
it's
of them
just
are almost heavy hitters. Like Moseman, he could win a race.
but that's the thing. Ping and Jason is like it's so hard. Like the class is so stacked, you know, and it's like
Yeah.
one guy, one moto's probably gonna. I mean, I could see Pierce Brown finishing in the top 5. Is he going to be consistent? Like, no disrespect, maybe not, to where the second moto he might finish at 15th. So then he's going to get like a 12th overall, you know? So
Yeah.
this class is just so stacked, man.
What about Daxton Bennett? Because I noticed he's not in the top 15. Do you
See, that's
him?
it.
You see him
Yeah.
outside of that, or Romano, like the rest of the star guys? Just
I mean, I love Romano. I don't really know Bennett, but dude, I had him on my list before I broke it down, and it was I couldn't bump any of these guys out. You know,
No, I get it. There's a lot of good dudes. This is the problem with this 250 class for them, not a problem for us. It's great because we get to watch good racing, but
I think if you were to narrow it down back to what we're saying, I think top 5 is going to be RJ, Vialle, Deegan, Kitchen, and Shimoda. I think that's just your solid top 5 throughout the whole season.
I think that's right. And but I think any of these guys in the top 15 you got here with a start can finish top 5 in a moto.
Yeah.
The problem is you get a mid-pack start in the second moto, and look at the guys you've got to come through to even get to the top 10.
Yeah.
Like forget it, dude. It's impossible. So it's just going to be the guy who can grease his starts every single moto. That's going to be the guy who's, you know.
I mean, what's encouraging to see is that this list, when I first made it, was like 25 riders deep, and they're all on teams. You know, like there's no like privateer here. They're all on the support teams.
Yeah, and we want everybody to know this isn't everyone. We've just kind of kept it to who we think the top 15 guys are. And like I said, I think, I don't know. I've never seen Daxton race a national. But damn it, I feel like he's got to be probably some inconsistencies being a rookie, but I think we'll see him inside the top 10 here and there all season long when he gets a start or whatever, right?
Yeah. I mean, how do I put Jalik in 9th? I have Jalik in 9th. I just watched him almost win the main event a couple Supercrosses ago, and I watched him win the outdoor at High Point, you know, and I can only put him in 9th. It's like, it's a strong list.
No, I hear you. What about Max Volan? Because I haven't heard much from him. He obviously had the dislocated hip in Supercross that didn't go well. Even getting it reduced and put back in place was didn't go well. Speaking to his dad, like they had to kind of have it do it surgically. It wasn't great. But I haven't heard how he's doing, how he's looking, any of that stuff. So, here's a kid who, even on his KTM, which is a bike he didn't really like, he loves this Cowie. And he was still a podium guy last summer,
Yeah.
in the summer before. So
Yeah.
if he's feeling good, and again, I'm all speculation, I know he likes this bike, he'll be better. I mean, Nick, you got to put him up in that mix too, at least here and there.
I mean, I put him in 10th because if that kid goes to the track and he starts on the gate and rides to the checkered flag, he's going to be top 10.
Yeah. Okay.
So
what about Chance Hymas? It's a kid who has been kind of been a mystery to me. I had pretty high expectations, a factory Honda rider, and had heard a lot about him. And really, he has, outside of a heat race win this year, like it's been pretty slim pickings for results for him.
Well, the beginning of the Supercross season, like he surprised me. Like you remember he would like sprint really good in the beginning of the race. And we were even talking with Reed that one time, Ping, where like was the pain not hitting him yet? Because remember did he hurt his knee?
Well, there was chatter he might have torn his ACL. That was kind of
yeah.
Yeah.
But like he made some like noise in the beginning of the season by like leading these heat races and stuff like that. But then he kind of faded away.
Yeah.
Or at least that's kind of how I feel. What do you think, Jason?
I'm not sure about what happened with him in Supercross, but I kind of wonder about being on that Honda squad. It's like, and no, I'm just going to say this, dude, you're not the priority on that squad.
Like you think he's allowed
the bottom of the totem pole, to where I know that Trey is like helping him test and his buddy and stuff, but at the same time, being someone who doesn't really know how to set the bike up, I assume, just being young and not really having, you might think, HRC, buddy, best team in the game. Well, yeah, they also are pretty focused on like another rider on the same bike, to where, you're getting great testing and development. But I've heard like Millsap say things on Gypsy Tales and Tedesco, just talking about like, well, Tedesco saying that when he was on Suzuki with RC as a teammate, it was like, cool, dude, they're developing the hell out of the bike with RC. I hope you like the direction it's going.
Yeah.
That happens at every team. Yeah. I mean,
so I don't know.
I think the other thing too, it's tough as a rookie kid to come right into factory Honda. It's a lot like going to Mitch as a rookie. Like you see all those number one plates on the door, and that there's an expectation. Like, you're a rookie, you get some time to learn, but like you need to see some results. Like this is
right.
The premier team in the sport, right?
I'm sure it's a little less intimidating going to have to deal with Trey Kennard than it is dealing with Mitch.
I'm probably right. All right. So what about Evan Ferry? I want to talk about a big question mark. I watched him race to the first turn at the first Supercross and then smash into the wall, and that's all I've seen of him. So, weird deal the way he parted with Triumph. We didn't hear much. Now he's on a support team. But you got
on the Wildcat team,
you got him in 13th. Like that's pretty high up there.
Well, if you guys would notice on my previous list, I didn't even have him on there, and I knew he was racing. He was one of the guys that I'm a little partial to, but I couldn't include on the list at the first time. But I ride with him, dude, and I've seen him. Okay, now here's how I saw him. I saw him 3 weeks ago at Etchicani on a KX450. Okay, and like his dad, it was bone stock, dude, bone stock. He was riding good. Then I saw him at Dade City just a few days later, and he was on the Wildcat gas that he's riding. And he looked good, like for being on the bike already. And let me just say, he smokes me both times. Okay, it don't matter which bike. But then I went to Etchicani just yesterday. I saw him, and dude, he is ripping. Like you can tell that. Like I just saw him at Dade City, and he was getting comfortable on the new bike. He was there by himself. He was like on the phone with his dad, like talking about how it was. And I saw him this time, and dude, he looks like he's ready to race. Like he rips. I wish I could tell you more about how fast he looks, but I can't stay with him for that long. but he lets me do, like, I'll cut back behind him, and like get back with him way faster than me. But I definitely can't leave him outside I put him 13th. I was going to put him top 10 or something, but I don't want to get too carried away. I see at the end of the year, depending on how he races, how many races he does, he'll probably be top 15 in points, but I don't see him finishing outside the top 20, no matter what in the moto. I just don't know what his whole plans are.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see how he does.
And then one of the biggest in this list, like one of the biggest enigmas to me is Michael Mosiman. I don't know where to put this guy. You could put him top 5. I'd be like, all right. Or you can put him where you have him, and I'd be like, yeah, I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows this dude is wild. Like one time he shows up and he wins, and then he crashes out, and then I don't know where to put the guy.
Well, I saw him say when he got the star ride, he was like, dude, I'm still young, like I'm still young. He's only 24, I think. And he knows he's fast. So I don't know. He's at the right spot, dude. I watched him riding there. I saw a recent video at the goat farm, and it's like 10 or 12 of those guys. And if you blur their numbers out, you can't really tell who's who, except for Haiden. You know which one's Haiden. And then the rest of them, they all look like equal. So Mosiman, maybe I should have even put him higher than 14th, given his history. He's done this before. He's on arguably the best team. So we should see the best him.
Yeah. 24 is not that young. Not for this class and this sport. I mean,
well, we got RJ in first place, and he's what?
20? Is he 28? What is he?
Yeah, he's 20. Yeah, I think 28.
Yeah, I think RJ's been doing this for 24 years. Nah.
All right. Well, let's move along to the 450 class, because there's interesting stuff going on in this one too. And here's what you've got for a top 5. And I think your top 5 is pretty good. I don't know that I'd change anything in this. Jett Lawrence, Chase Sexton, Dylan Ferrandis, Justin Cooper, Hunter Lawrence. I've tried to shoot holes in that, maybe think I would switch around. And I'm like, I don't know, that's pretty good. Like that's pretty good. I don't know that I'd change anything there. People are talking about, is Jett going to have another perfect season? I don't think that happens. Do you guys think that happens? I can't imagine.
No, I think Chase is going to get in there. I actually, just to kind of switch it up a little bit here, J-Law, I think Sexton's going to win this opener, dude.
All right. Well, hey, on our last show, when we were talking, I tried to say, and I misspoke when it sounded like I was saying Justin Cooper may stop the undefeated streak at Fox Raceway, but I meant Chase. I meant Chase was the only guy who, like, he might even do it there because he had a good shot at beating him there last year. So, I mean, I would say that, but one thing that I'm going to throw in there is why there's no way it's going to be a perfect season is this has been the year of the rain, like we've had rain at so many supercrosses, and there's not one out of these 11 rounds is covered, dude. We're getting a mud race, and Dylan Ferrandis, he's the guy. It's going to be really hard to bet against Dylan Ferrandis without Kenny Roczen on the line, in a mudder. He's probably going to get it. And I look at Ferrandis as being just as good as Sexton, dude. And on paper, he's better. He's better on paper. He's won the championship.
Yeah.
I know. And
the year that he won the 450 title, what was it, 3 years ago?
2021, I believe. Yeah.
Dude, he was insane. And that bike wasn't even that great. Like, you know what I mean? So
and I heard right now, like talking to some of the insides, like he's super stoked on that bike right now for outdoors.
Dude, I was there at Phoenix actually when that whole deal was going down, and he was definitely stoked on the bike from before he even got there. He had it in his head that he wanted to ride the Honda, and let him have that in his head, because he thought, I watched Ken Roczen, he said in 2021 or 22, whenever it was, he said, I saw him racing it was Unadilla, the year that Ferrandis won his title. Roczen just smoked him at Unadilla, and Ferrandis was frustrated because he said, I can't do what he's doing on this bike. Then he said he saw the same thing with Jett Lawrence. And he said, I can't do what they're doing on this bike. I want that bike. So when he had no option to go to factory Honda, the only bike this dude was going to ride, I shit you not, was a Honda. He was going to do it whether Jimmy Button and him were going to buy it and go in the Thor motorhome to the races, or if he was going to do it for Phoenix. And sure enough, he did it for Phoenix. And dude, this is what he signed up for. This is why I was kind of tripping when he came back for the last Supercrosses. I'm like, why jeopardize this? Like getting into this healthy, this is why you signed him.
Yeah.
Or this is what he came here for. You know, he didn't expect Supercrosses.
No, and Button even said, he goes, if I can just get him to the outdoor nationals healthy, it's on. And and I mean, Jimmy knows him and how he operates and what's going on better than anybody. So if they're saying that, I mean, I believe it 100%. I think that you're going to see Chase and Dylan winning motos, winning overalls. So we'll see. And I even think Justin Cooper, we had heard a little rumor that he might have hurt his thumb or something, but I think I don't know that I believe that. If Justin Cooper's
not exactly 100 on that.
Yeah, we're not 100 on that. I think
something about Dylan too is that if Dylan is able to elevate himself and be that guy that can bring it to Jett and they become the two, it's not gonna fare well for Dylan in the way of Jett is so cool and not emotional when he rides, and Dylan's the total opposite, dude. Like, did you see Dylan when he gets in it with Hurlings, when Hurlings was going undefeated in the GPs? Like, dude, he had his leg out down the straight. Oh, yeah. He was freaking out. Like, dude, Jett's going to see that, and you're not going to be able to beat Jett like that. You know, Jett's just going to let you beat yourself, but it will be fun to see.
Yeah. I think that's going to be a really fun kind of three guys, I think, that could be winning motos pretty regularly. I still think Jett's going to win the most and probably win this title, but it's not going to be easy.
If Jett was out of this and he said, I'm not racing this series, would you say Chase or Dylan would win it?
Man, that's a tough one. And now that we're talking more about Dylan, it's kind of making me think a little bit on this. Like, maybe Dylan does it at this opener.
He could. I don't think this is really his exact track. Like, I don't think this is his best track. And I think his best moment is definitely going to come when it's wet. And it doesn't even have to be a mudder, but once we get back east,
High Point.
You know, yeah, like Red Bud, exactly. High Point, like anywhere like that. But the West Coast tracks, I don't really know like who they favor, but once you get out of the first three and you get back east, I think you really see it. I don't remember how Dylan did when he won his title, but at the end he was like invincible.
Here's another thing though. I also talked to someone in this little camp over here in Florida that AP is looking really good. Like he'll do good.
That'd be cool to see. I'd love to see him up on that list a little higher, but
did you put him up there, Jason?
Yeah, I got AP as in lucky number 7. But I was thinking, man, almost all these guys are outdoor champs except for Sexton and Justin Cooper. Right? Oh, no, not Barsha either. But AP has a couple. Hunter, Dylan, Jett. But that accounts for like 8 out of the past 10 250 championships, huh?
Yeah. I am leaning more towards the Dylan situation, though. I think we're going to see some wins out of that guy this year.
I think the question with Chase is, look how long it took them to get that bike working the way he wanted in Supercross. 16 rounds or 15. I mean, it took a long time. If they can hit that mark sooner, I think we see Chase Sexton pushing Jett, like pushing him, like he did with Eli a couple seasons back. If not, it could be another long summer where he's just chasing that feeling that he wants. I don't know. We'll see.
I bet you these first 3 West Coast rounds, as I call them, the 2 Calis and Lakewood, I bet you that they're going to be good for Chase's bike. At least the way I look at it, that'll probably be a good opportunity for Chase to maximize his bike strong points. And then when you go back east, I mean, I don't really know, but it's going to be really hard to beat Jett when you get to the spots with the long ruts, My man
he's going to be hard to beat anywhere. Like, let's just be real honest. All right,
Yeah.
let's take a look at 6 through 10 here. You got Barsha, AP, Anderson, Masterpool, and Garrett Marchbanks. And the only thing here, I don't know if you're underselling Ty Masterpool. And there was a lot of people in the comments when you posted this that said the same thing, like, I don't know, dude. Like,
Yeah.
so last year
Yeah.
he crushed it, but it was a really thin class.
Yes.
And so I'm trying to go like, okay, was he really that good, or was the class really that weak? And I think it's kind of both things. The class was
Yeah.
super weak, but he also ran up front with like fast dudes. It wasn't like he was getting fifths against nobodies. Like he was up there running top 5 with factory guys.
Yeah,
The 5 factory guys that we had in the class.
Yeah, but it'll be a lot easier to run that pace, not having anyone in between there too, though, Ping. You know? So I'm thinking the same way with you on that. And I was gonna ask Jason about what his thoughts were with Masterpool, because like last year it was like, whoa, dude, this kid's killing it. It's like running top 5s. But was that because, like what you just said, Ping? I'm kind of leaning towards that. Like this year, it's going to be a lot more stacked than obviously last year.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. What do you think, Jason?
So,
You watched them all, yeah?
Dude, if we were doing this show last year, there's no way Ty Masterpool would have been on this show. Right?
yeah,
No one was thinking about him. We didn't even know what class he was racing. Everybody knows who Ty Masterpool is now, dude. Like they're not
Yeah.
pulling a wool over their eyes. You're not, and I don't mean this to be bad, to be any knock on Ty, because I love him. I like how he's doing it kind of on his own, but you're not beating Jason Anderson,
yeah,
because you're not beating the other factory Kawasaki. Because if you do, and you do it a couple times, then you're going to take his ride. He's not going to let that happen. You know
yeah,
what I mean? So
Yeah,
if I
yeah.
could put Anderson in 4th, then I would put Ty in 5th. But we saw what happened last year. Anderson was not in shape, I would say, about at Southwick, and it was his 2nd race in a row getting beat by Ty. And he really just rode himself to the wall till he was dead, and he had to start riding around, got like whatever place, and then he went and started training so he could keep his ride, and he beat Ty Masterpool for the rest of the year. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I don't know. And what is it with Ty Masterpool though? Why was he not in line to take the spot Tickle's taking and get the factory Kawasaki bike? Like bump him into there, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, that's a question for the the brass at Kawasaki. I mean, I'm surprised somebody didn't grab him. I know he hasn't done as well at Supercross, but man, I don't know. Seems like a great kid for a fill-in spot or something. Give this kid.
I mean, but who knows? Maybe he did get an offer, but he felt more comfortable on the setup he has now, because it is working. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, it's true.
What
So-
about Garrett Marchbanks? This is a kid who had maybe one of the best Supercross seasons he's ever had. I think he ended up season 4th. He's had some great rides along the way. He's a huge kid.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Way better fitted for this 450. He's had good 450 rides before. This could be like a breakout summer for him. And you got him in 10th. And I think
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think you're going to see him between 5th and 10th a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I saw that he hurt his thumb at Nashville. So he says he's not 100 coming into this. But the good thing is that he's coming into 100% of this. And what I mean by that is he didn't race the whole series last year. He still ended up 6th in the points, you know? Dude was lighting it up. So with the full season coming into it, again, everybody knows who Garrett Marchbanks is, but everybody knew who Garrett Marchbanks was when he lined up last year, you know, not like Ty Masterpool. So I don't know.
Yeah.
He's on the radar. I think he'll be actually like a top 5 type guy, but as far to say in your series rankings, I just don't know.
Yeah, it'll be, I mean, he's going to have to just prove it to us. And I think there's some of that here as we go from 11th on. So, you know, if you got Garrett in 10th, Malcolm Stewart 11th, Christian Craig 12th, Colt Nichols, Grant Harlan, Justin Hill. That's your top, 10 to 15. And I don't know, man. Like, is Malcolm even racing all the nationals? I never know if he's coming.
Yeah.
This
He's
is his
doing.
first time
Yeah.
since 08, right? Or
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
Since
And
he's doing the
I
whole
think
thing.
I like where Jason. Like, I think Malcolm's a great rider, obviously, but I think Jason's right on point, though. I think he's gonna be in that 11th, kind of 10th place.
Mm.
So
I think the Husky guys are guys that are kind of needing to beat guys like Masterpool and Marchbanks. I know there's rumors of
Yeah.
Marchbanks maybe going to pro circuit, but I haven't really heard any rumors about it. But I mean, those Husky guys, I think their contracts are up. And if you look at my list, which this is pretty much the totem pole that the bosses are looking at, and Garrett Marchbanks and Ty Masterpool are ahead of them. So if it finishes like that, they might be looking to get factory rides.
And what do you think about Colt Nichols? Well, let's start with Christian Craig before we get to him. Christian been out with injuries. Been a rough year for him. How do you see him sorting this summer out?
Just so much talent that if he's like a Max Volan type thing that I can't put him. I felt bad putting him outside the top 10, but I can't see him being outside the top 12 if he can finish all the laps. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's going to be not 100% to start the season off, but that's going to be his two strongest tracks. And
Yeah.
then even when you go east to tracks he hasn't been at, when he rode the Troy Lee 450, he didn't have his breakout rides until he went back east anyway. Remember years back, he was like
Yeah.
Redbud was killing it, so he could do it.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, for sure.
God, that was 2010, 2011. I mean,
Is that when you were managing the team, Ping?
I was 2009, 2010. So he came on at the end of 10 and then through 2011.
I'd say something else too about Dylan Ferrandis is that bike he's riding is good. Dude, like it's really good. And he's down there at Jett's riding with Jett and Hunter. You know, I'm sure he has like a fast track to the bike setup, things like that I wonder, like, how long is that gonna last? How long can that relationship last if you start being a guy? You know?
Hey,
Yeah.
that's a really good question, because I would say he wasn't even really a threat in Supercross. Those guys probably were like, yeah, let him, come on down. That's going to be a different story. If Dylan starts running up front, it's going to get weird down there at the dog pound.
I had the theory that they rushed Dylan to come back into Supercross to potentially aid Jett, like just to be another guy on the track that's on Jett's side or another Honda. And what that made me think was like, damn, that's not in Dylan's best interest. I doubt that's what Dylan wanted to do. I doubt that's what Phoenix Honda wanted him to do. Seems like he's kind of on a leash there, not on a leash, but kind of doing stuff for them. I was maybe getting a little carried away, but it seems like maybe that was the case. So now if you're going to go and fuck up the undefeated lifetime award, you're probably going to have to find a new home.
That's interesting. And he does have factory Honda parts in that motor, and I think the transmission and whatever other parts and pieces that they want, but factory connection suspension. And Ziggy is a master at getting guys, like, he does a lot of work that people don't see.
Yeah.
If a rider is struggling with a bike, getting the suspension or chassis to work, Ziggy's the guy they go to. It's like either him or Ross usually. And it's like those guys come in and just work their magic. And I've seen them turn dudes summers or seasons around.
When you want to talk about that, how about last year at Unadilla? That was what Dylan Ferrandis did. He switched his suspension to factory connection. He almost beat Jett. That had to have been the closest margin of victory for Jett all season. It was like 2 seconds. He was rapidly closing on him at the end. Well, that was the first race that he switched with Ziggy. And then that's what sparked this whole going to Honda type thing. So talk about being comfortable.
And he didn't even test. That was just a setting that he goes, all right, well, I'll bring something to the race you can try. He jumped on it and did that well. So like, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's all
Ziggy's the man.
And to hear Dylan say that he believes that the bike in front of him is doing things that he could do on it that he can't on his. Now he gets this bike and he really believes that. Dude, that's going to have a big impact, you know?
Yeah,
like he said, I got a quote from him. He said, hasn't had this much fun riding in a long time. I'm not even trying the French accent. I don't want to offend anybody.
I really want to hear that, actually.
No.
All right. Anybody else we're leaving off here that we need to mention in this class? I think we've pretty much hit them all.
Filthy Phil Nicoletti. Dude, if there was anyone I wanted to stick in this top 15 who maybe didn't belong, it's Filthy Phil, dude. But he can do it. Looking at the results, it's like Filthy Phil, he was putting up 10s last year. He has podiums in his career. Let's do it. Phil, hey, and you want to talk about a mutter. Dude, I'll put up mutter results. I wouldn't put it past Filthy Phil to win a full-on mutter. You know what I mean? Like when it's a hectic mutter, this guy's a Northeaster. He can ride the mud. He can pull podiums in a regular mutter. If it wants to get crazy, Filthy Phil could go out with something wild. I didn't put it on the list, but it could happen.
Is he riding 450s?
Okay.
I thought he was done, or was he just done with Soupy? He's going to finish the year out.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, see if old Filthy Phil can get himself into the top 15 and prove your list wrong. I hope
he does.
I think it's pretty close, man. I think it's a good list.
Yeah.
What else? Anything else you guys are excited to watch this weekend?
I mean, we didn't. I mean, maybe Hunter could do something in the top 5.
He could. I want to see Justin Cooper on the 450 because, last year was like when we saw Jett, and the first round when we saw Jett, it was his least impressive looking back on it. That was one of the only times you saw him look like he was pushing and making mistakes and not look like you could make a highlight reel of how slow does this guy look like he's going, It was crazy. Well, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the same thing. I think Justin's kind of the guy to watch who has like this crazy upside. Yeah. I mean, he's always been better outdoors. Like he's an outdoor guy.
Yeah.
And he was a title contender for years.
Transition.
Yeah.
So he could do it. I think Hunter, I think he'll do just what he did in Supercross. Like he'll start, 5th, 6th.
But maybe get a little better as the season goes on.
Yeah, you'll see him on the box about halfway, I'll bet you.
Yeah.
Hey, if he starts 5th, 6th, then he better hope that Hombre starts like 3rd, 4th, or else he's getting knocked down.
Yeah, you think there's what do you think?
You think they didn't leave that in Supercross?
No, Jason, the AMA fined him and had a sit down with him. It's all over. It's all over.
No way. I don't know. It's not going to work that well for him, I don't think. But I don't know. Now that we know you're allowed to wait a lap, who knows? Well, Hombre's got a bunch of shots at him.
These are the new rules. All right. We just we don't make them up. Well, I guess we kind of did make that one up. But yes, you can now wait a lap and ruin someone's race. All right. Hey, I want to thank our sponsors again real quick. UR Water, Factory Connection, Speed Strap, Baja Designs, and Maxxis. If you guys need any of those products, check them out. We're stoked to have them on board, and they make great stuff. So pumped to be partnered with them. Jason, thanks for the time again, dude. I'm excited for this one. It's going to be a fun season. And like I said, we're not doing these week to week. We're going to bring this back for Super Motocross, the playoffs. So we'll definitely try to get you back in for those. But
yeah, we here at Whiskey Throttle, we all had to have a surgery after Supercross here, and we'll be back for the Super Motocross playoff payday. We all got laryngitis right now. Sorry, guys.
The 17 rounds is too much, man. We got to take the summer off. And we'll be back.
Well, in case I don't see you guys all the time, I'm just going to try to say one more time. You should go to my sponsor, HDIauto.com, because you might be able to afford a Porsche. I'm dead serious, dude. Just check it out. You might be surprised. We'll ship them to you and stuff. So it don't matter. It's in Knoxville, North Carolina. You could be anywhere in the continental U.S. and we'll sell you one.
I did go check him out. And he's got some rad cars.
Yeah, they are.
I still cannot afford them, but that's just me. If you're in the market, it's a spot.
Put words in his mouth, but he might finance for you. I don't know. Maybe not.
Great. All right. Well, I'm going to go look at my new 911. Appreciate you, boys. Enjoy the races this weekend. We'll see you guys soon.
Sounds good.